Dre and Smiley, Financial Fridays, just don't know Glaze. Dre, what's your thoughts on diversity? For example, I define diversity as you take your dollar and you buy 10 stocks for a dollar, or you take your dollar and you or 10 stocks for 10 cents. Let's say $100. You got $100, you buy 10 stocks for $10, or you buy one stock for $100, all in on one. What's your views on diversity of assets and money?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a layman, but generally speaking, I believe that if you diversify, right, you have more opportunities to grow. So, for example, let's say you do some dollar cost averaging, right? You have your IRA, mutual fund, whatever vehicles you have, you know. Obviously, savings accounts are not useless; they have their place. But if you diversify, stocks, etc., you have more opportunities, I think, to grow. Versus, that old saying, you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. Um, those are my initial thoughts.
I heard some investment guys say, well, they prefer because the return's greater if you put it all on one stock, all your
Mm,
eggs in one basket. And
interesting.
realize we're not financial experts. The disclaimer is we're not giving financial advice. We're just discussing our views and opinions.
Yeah.
But one guy said he rather put all his eggs in one basket and then guard the basket diligently, guard that particular basket
Seems like a lot of
because you want to
work.
make sure. Well, if you diversify, let's say you got 10 stocks. So do you have the time to keep track of 10 K1s, 10 annual reports, 10 market trends, 10? So you're multiplying your due diligence of knowing that product, knowing the executive team,
Okay.
knowing the market trends of what's going on with that one company.
Okay.
Now you multiply it by 10.
Okay.
So, do you have the expertise, the time, and resources to manage appropriately and make financial decisions on 10 different assets versus one?
Ooh, good question. Well, let's start off by saying I'm not a big risk taker. That's number one.
Hmm.
And then I guess going from there, I would say that, if you're doing, low risk investing, you want to obviously monitor how things are going. But I don't know that it needs to be done as diligently if you're doing day trading, for example. And you need to research companies on a regular basis and, you know, get a sense of their P&Ls and, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're investing, for example, in, a number of, if you're just, throwing some money into your IRA annually, you're throwing money into your, whatever it is on a regular basis, then you can kind of just sit back and monitor it, make adjustments as needed. Um, Perhaps the best option, tell me what you think about this, Smiley. Perhaps the best option is getting a money manager, someone to actually handle all that for you. Um, that way it prevents you from having to, you know, manage 10 separate vehicles and do all your due diligence. So two questions for you, Smiley. One is, what are your thoughts on doing it that way, having a money manager? And two, if you don't have a money manager, what is the best option in your opinion? Diversify or put all your eggs in one basket? Those are my two questions for you.
I look at it like this. When you mention IRA, when you put your money in an IRA, they're still going to make a decision. Do I put it in a mutual fund, a basket of stocks, or do I put it in one particular stock, whether it's an IRA or 401k?
Right, right.
If you invest in a 401k, a lot of times you can only invest in the company where you work. So that's a double risk because if you lose your job or the company goes out of business, there goes your retirement. So that can be even more risky.
Mm,
The second one is I read a quote from some other financial planner. No one's going to love your kids like you love them, and no one's going to love your money like you love your money.
yeah,
So, do you want to turn that over to a stranger that may not love you, but will love your money?
yeah.
So, I'm not knocking financial planners. I just feel with the knowledge and the information availability, the plethora of content on financial information, I'd rather just learn it, study it. Because if I lost my $10, I can forgive myself. But if my money manager lost it $10, every time I see him, I'm like, this fool lost me $10. So
Yeah.
even though the money gods say you're going to lose $10,
Right.
I rather learn the lesson and lose
Yourself.
it, learn the lesson, and do better. That's just my opinion. Once again, we're not experts, but
Right.
I've never I listen and read a lot of financial planners. Ken Fisher's one of them. He has his Fisher Investments. I read their content, but I like to formulate my own ideas
Sure.
because they don't know me.
Yeah.
They don't know what I'm trying to do. They don't know what I'm trying to do with these neighbors. They're looking at some AI that
Right.
someone created and throwing
Right.
in some numbers.
Yeah.
And last quote, I think Buffett said Wall Street is he said the phenomenon, and I might misquote him paraphrasing. He said, you have people with millions of dollars giving their money to people who make two, $300,000 to manage it for them. You have already earned millions or inherited millions, but you're going to give it to a dude who makes two, 300,000 to manage your assets. And he doesn't even have it. He rides the subway to work, and you're out there with your Porsche Maserati, and you're going to give your money to someone who has less skills.
Yeah.
He said something like that in the 80s or 90s, but
Yeah. Yes, it's a tough situation. I think, for each individual, they have to make their own decision case by case. Some people that are making millions feel like, there's better ways for me to use my time than to watch my money. And obviously, that's not a bad choice if you're making it for yourself. Others feel like you and I, that, hey, it's something we want to learn and apply ourselves. I don't think that there's any wrong way to invest. I think it's just the key is to make sure that your money is working for you and that you're not working for it the majority of the time. Hope you guys have a great Friday, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.